Okay, my dragon chasing friends, hold tightly to your hats because they are about to blow away from your head. What is the reality of dragons? What is it? Every single culture had them, 100%, and I mean 100%. When I show you the list of dragons, it'll blow you away. It did me. I didn't realize they had that many dragons. I mean, I know that everybody talked about them, but I didn't know they talked about them like this. There is so much detail here. It's just incredible. And when I show you the detail of the actual dragons that were here, and I will show you the detail, and I even have a dragon scale right here. That's a dragon scale. You see that? There's a little tab right there that holds it in its body of the creature. And it's a dragon scale. So we are going to talk about dragons, and I'm going to show you dragons, not just one, but more than one. And I will show you that actually, yes, they did spit fire. And dragons were real and really, really big. So let's get started. Okay, my friends, I have a new way of approaching this. I am going to go for 12 minutes or so. And then when you hear the timer go off, I'm going to stop. And then we'll go into the next segment. Because I'm making them too long. People aren't interested in that kind of detail. So if you're interested, fine. If not, well, that's the way it works. Now, I am going to be talking about these dragons. And when I should tell you how many dragons there were, these are the list of dragons. West African dragons. They had them all over the place. Egyptian ones, the Nagas, the Southern African, the European dragons. Everybody had a dragon. I mean, they were everywhere. They were literally everywhere. And every Hungarian, Italian, Lithuanian, Polish, Spanish, everybody had them, and in America we had them too. And Quetzalcoatl is the main one in America. Look at all these dragons. How could any possible mind discard all this and say, oh, these people are just silly? They didn't take it as silly. They thought it was very serious. And where's Quetzalcoatl? Quetzalcoatl is from the Aztec mythology, had a dragon-like aspect. Well, I can show you, yes, he did have a dragon-like aspect. And hold on a second. The one we're mainly going to be talking about here, because I can show you his body, is both Typhon and Quetzalcoatl. Typhon was the Titan's younger sibling. He was a god and a monster. That means he's eternal. Now, he could breathe fire, control the wind. He was just absolutely gigantic. And he is, and I will show you his actual body. His parents created him to defeat the Olympians and free the Titans. You know who his parents were? It was the Earth and Tartarus. They had sex together, and he gave Titan, who it was the one that attacked the fish in the desert, right here. All right, this is written about in Apollodorus. Now, there's little differences here and there, but not much. Typhon runs all the way from here, across North Africa, way out to the tip of his tail right there. All the way across there. And he's attacking this fish here, spitting fire and noxious things at it, and it ate right into the fish's vital flesh, which is right here. Now, here's his head. All right, I've seen this so many times, it just pops. If you've never seen it, well, his nose bumps way up like this, and that's exactly what he's portrayed as. His nose comes way up, and his head comes around, all this flash and stuff, and then it runs all the way down his body, which I will show in a second. His red flared eye is right there, which it talks about his red flared eye. And look at all that stuff streaming off it. I mean, it's pretty red and flared to me. This little flashy thing is the thing that you see on the parades. of all the dragons that runs down their side. All right, now all this right here, from here down, is just bloody runoff. Above here is his head and his neck, and the neck runs forever. This is the neck right here. This is the throat, all the way down into his gut, which is down here, and the tail runs off here, and that is the dragon's scaled tail right here. Let it focus in. You see that? Now, if you understand about blood, you understand blood is primarily made of transition metals, which are all of these different colors. And those different colors had puddled down in, the blood had puddled down right in here and is running out between the scales. These are dragon scales. Now, that's not just some kind of hill and valley. No, absolutely not. And these are different layers of scales. This thing was armor plated like unbelievable. And this one is too. But it's kind of tiny. I don't know if you can see all those layers in this one. It has the same thing. But anyway, and this one actually has blood in it. And right there, that's where the blood ran. And right over there. So there's a coming in and a coming out. And I show this in the microscope. It's very, very easy to see. And this is the tab that held this scale in the creature's body, and it could slide along this plane. But there was some gooey stuff in here. See that gooey stuff right there? That's the glue that actually glued this scale to below, but it could still sort of flop around. I believe that's the case. Anyway, this is a dragon. And that is his tail, way, 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 way out here. And that's actually feathers. That's why it's so green. So he had little feathers on the tip of his tail. That's my interpretation. His legs are the thighs of a human. That's exactly what they said. The thighs of a human. This is his throat, comes all the way down here. Now, these are also dragon scales up here. Again, this is his throat. These are the scales. And you see how they're hinged every so often? That's so he could bend his throat. You see them? These are all the hinges. And these, again, these are dragon scales. These are not just hills and valleys. And right in here is where he ate things. It's a pretty good sized throat. And that ran all the way down until it got cut by Zeus and his great and mighty sword. All the way down his throat. This is all dragon scales. All of this stuff is just the bloody gooey stuff that runs off of a dead, decaying body. These are the scales. Now, down below here is the gash, right across there. Now that gash, in the ancient text, it claims that gash was put in there by Zeus with his great and mighty sword. And that right there, my friends, is blood. That's the red raw blood. That's the black vein blood. Notice the difference. You see how this is the actual blood. This is just runoff. This is what they call effluent. It's just a mix of matrix of bloody goo that runs out of something dead. This is different. This is the fire he spit, coming right out of here. All right, look at what came right out of here, right out of his beards. Actually, it comes right from the two beards. You see that stuff? Now that combusted on his back. The fish down below. And don't forget, these are the two beards coming, and they show him with the beards right in the same place. He spit all that stuff down, at the fish. This is the gigantic fish. You see that fish? And this is his fin right up at the top. Now you have Google Earth, so I expect you to go and examine this yourself and determine, is Roger crazy or is Roger showing something that appears to be accurate? This was spit, and it literally, it looks to me like it did combust. Right in this area here, it was like just toxic flaming nastiness. You see that? That looks like something that would be the residue of combustion. And it went right onto his fin, right there. And not only did it go onto his fin, it ate into his vital flesh right down here. The fin is just sort of something that's extra. And it doesn't have a whole lot of bloody matrix in it. However, this is different. This is his back, and that has flesh. Hold on one second, and I will show you some biology. Okay, this is the exact event that was written about in Apollodorus, how Typhon was attacking the gods, and they were so afraid they turned themselves into animals. And this turned into a fish, apparently, and got hit by his flaming, whatever you want to call it, fiery nastiness from a dragon. And it ate into here. We're going to actually look at the blood vessels and everything. Now, I want to show you one other thing. I said there's more than one of these, and yes, there absolutely is, because we have Quetzalcoatl on the east coast of the United States. And here he is right there. That is Quetzalcoatl. And this is his headdress right up here. All right, and there's his nose and all that stuff. And here's his beards. And here's his throat. It goes all the way up around, all the way up around, all the way up around. It wraps around and goes all the way up the East Coast. And feathers make things grow green, and these, my friends, are feathers, and these, my friends, are the Green Mountains. Now you have Google Earth. You should be able to do this. I can't hold your hand on all this stuff. That's two gigantic dragons that nobody can account for this. I have no way to account for this whatsoever. They are here. And this one was spitting out something too. Quetzalcoatl spit all this out. This is a dead zone out here. We're going to get into all the details of everything, because there's much more than this. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Only it's not there's no ice here. There's a lot of flame and fire and nastiness, but no ice at this point. Now, this all happened as Atlantis collapsed, and it all ran out here and created the Cape Verde Islands. I wrote a book, well, a paper about it, and a friend of mine is putting my papers in books. 2015, I wrote about this being the draining of the Sahara. And there's, again, time's up for today. We're going to go through all the details of all of these things. And what I want you to do is present some questions in the comments. Something valid, something that makes sense. And I'm going to tell you right now, this did not happen that long ago. Every bit of everything I'm showing you is on the surface of the Earth. There's nothing that's underneath the Earth that we're going to be looking at. All right? Thank you. I love you all. Stay tuned for part 2 through however many parts it takes. All right? We're going to get this. It's got to be known. We have to understand our ancient past, because right now we live in a fantasy world. Absolute fantasy. Okay, I mentioned and I showed you Quetzalcoatl, and this is the interpretation that the Aztecs or the Mayans, whoever it was, described him as the feathered serpent. He had this feathered crown, and he had this big, long, feathered body. He had beards coming, and it looks like he ate people, as far as I could see. Remember the shape. Remember this curve, and this coming way up, and his big fluty feathers at the end, and this big headdress coming out. Well, I see no difference whatsoever from this. All right, this is Quetzalcoatl. And the reason this coloration is different than this is because green things grow where bloody ooze comes out. And if you look at Typhon in the desert where he's cut, there is a lot of green things growing there, and that's in the desert. Now, this must have been scales or something like, I don't know, whatever. But this is where bloody stuff, and feathers also are sold to make things green. So blood and feather meal make things green. And that's why you have all this green around his body. Now here's his beards. Remember they showed the beards before? There's the beards. Of course, there's his throat coming all the way up around, all the way up around, wrapping all the way around, coming all the way around. And he goes all the way up the East Coast, and here's that bundle of feathers at the end. Same thing. Same thing. And these are the Green Mountains. They sell feather meal. You buy it and you put it on your plants and they grow green like crazy. And the same thing with blood meal. All right, there's his feathered headdress. He's spitting something out here causing a death zone. So we're going to be looking at this in some pretty good detail. And like I say, I'm going to try to break them out into 12, 15 minutes, like that type of thing. All right, thank you.